Welcome everybody to the Rotating Tap Podcast. We've got Steve Vanderploeg, Korey, David, and special guests. Maybe beer people talking comedy or comedians talking beer. Listen up everybody and we'll see what you will hear. I won't waste any more time cause it's going very fast. It's the Rotating Tap Podcast.
He does like live looping all over town.
Got it.
Yeah, so not John Hamm, the musician.
Not the one and only. Not, yeah.
Because that guy, I think he gets enough shout-outs. To be completely honest, I think he's doing fine without the Rotating Tap Podcast.
He's rich.
So, welcome to the episode. I'm Korey David, and
I'm
this
Steve
is
Vanderploeg.
Oh, we are at Epic Brewing in the Rhino District.
You're
here in
already
Denver.
dropping stuff. That's
Yeah.
good.
I haven't had any beer yet.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But we got plenty on the table and lots of stuff to drink.
Quick shout out to John Hamm for the intro music. The one and only John Hamm, not the actor.
Not the actor.
He's great. We're here today at Epic Brewing in River North District of Denver.
Thanks for repeating me. Really trying to kill some time.
All right, that's Korey David. I'm Steve Vanderploeg. Welcome to the Rotating Tap Podcast.
We're really excited to be here. Everybody, just do me a favor. We got three really solid people from Epic Brewing with us today. If you want to run down the line and introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Nate Levi. I am one of the sales guys here at Epic.
My name is Jordan. I'm the Director of Brewing Operations.
And my name is Josh, and I work in the tap room.
Nice.
So we got a little bit of every surface of the brewery here with us today, which is really great. Because sometimes we just get the brewers, owners, things like that, but it's always nice to get a feel for how everybody interacts with customers, things you guys got to deal with on a regular basis. But so one of the things that people always say to us when they find out that we're comedians is, tell us a joke.
Tell us a joke right now.
So that's where you guys come in.
Yep, tell us a joke.
So we're telling a joke. All right, here's one of my faves. A guy walks into a bar, and he sits down and orders a beer, and he looks at the guy sitting next to him, and on the bar in front of this other guy is a little guy, a little less than a foot tall, playing a little tiny piano. And the guy that just walked in says, "Hey, buddy, what's with the little guy playing the piano?" And the guy says to the other guy, "There's a genie outside, and he will grant you one wish of anything you want." And the new guy slams his chair back, runs outside, and says, "Genie, genie, genie, I wish for $1 million." And the genie appears, and poof, he says, "Your wish is my command." He's suddenly surrounded by 1 million ducks. And the guy's like, "What the hell?" Walks back inside, slaps the dude on the back, and says, "Hey man, I thought you said that genie would grant me a wish, and I wished for $1 million, and he gave me 1 million ducks. What's going on?" The other guy says, "You left too fast. I couldn't finish what I was saying. The genie doesn't hear very well. Do you think I asked for a 10-inch pianist?" So it's so stupid. I told my girlfriend last night I was going to tell that one, and she's like, "Don't."
And that's the one he tells in every distributor
That's it.
meeting.
There you go.
I love it. That's
Welcome
hot.
to the team. Let's forecast for the winter. Who's up next?
All right, Josh, do you find one?
I believe the joke is who's on next, not who's up next. Classic comedy bit? Okay, never mind.
All right. Well,
Steve
Josh is on
just
next.
skipped the tell us a joke segment.
Well, it's more of a sad story, really, but my dad asked if he could borrow a bookmark, and I started to cry because he forgot my name was Josh.
Hey, all right.
Everybody rolled their eyes at once.
As long as he cares about you. That's all that we know. That's all we need to know. Jordan, what do you got?
All right, we'll do a beer joke. What's a pirate's second favorite drink? A PBR.
Nice.
What's his first?
What's a pirate's first favorite drink?
Oh, I asked you that. You were going to ask me back.
Rum, you dummy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't heckle the brewers, Steve.
I'm not set up for this.
Let the man finish.
Tell us a joke. Now, no, shut up. Get funny. Okay, moving on.
So before we get too far down the rabbit hole, because we poured out a cool little beer and we don't want it to get warm or less carbonated on us, we did grab something from La Cumbre Brewing down in New Mexico. It was one of their Project Dank Series IPAs, an experimental IPA winter edition. I don't have a ton more information on it, but I figured it's a great place to start. So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's a good clanking sound you get through the mics.
Yeah, this is already taking off way better than all the other episodes, man. We got sound bites and everything.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 new jokes for our act. That's actually the long play with this, is that we don't have any material.
Not funny at all.
Yeah, we're not actually. This isn't even a real podcast.
I don't know if that act's gonna last with this kind of material, though, guys.
Well, between you guys and what my dad feeds me, this is we're set up for success.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I love most of the stuff that La Cumbre does. They have a really cool tap room down in the Albuquerque area. Now, you said you're from Taos originally?
Yeah, I'm from New Mexico. So this guy, he started winning gold medals pretty early on, I think, when he opened.
For the butterfly, freestyle, high jump, anything in particular? So Michael Phelps started this brewery. You heard it here first.
Right.
Yeah, great. Maybe we should just leave the jokes to these guys. Damn
I mean, it's not hard to be funnier than Korey. But...
God damn it, Steve. No, that's cool. So, I mean, you know this guy pretty well?
No, not super well. I'm just kind of familiar with the brewery.
I just follow him on Instagram. That's about it.
Yeah, you send him Facebook messages at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, while I'm sitting out in front of his house. Just be like, hey, if you're up.
But I don't know well.
We can talk lagers. That sounds great. Well, there was actually a really cool brewery that I went to down in Taos. That was it was set up in a Burning Man style building. I don't know if you're familiar with this particular. Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah. Taos Mesa.
Yeah.
Taos Mesa.
It was a pretty cool spot. It's like an old airplane hangar.
Yeah. I think they built that out themselves too.
Yeah,
that's
they're
awesome.
they're all musicians. So I don't know if you notice the dance floor. It's I think there's tires underneath. So just like the houses that are made out there.
Oh yeah. I see some pretty kooky architecture down there.
Yeah, typical New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Now, so before we get too far down the rabbit hole, you guys, how long have you guys actually been in this space in Rhino while we're talking about tap rooms and whatnot?
That's going to be 8 years in June.
Damn,
Nice.
that's a long time.
That's awesome, because this neighborhood wasn't what it was 8 years ago.
No, we made the neighborhood, if I say so myself.
Sure.
Ooh,
Yeah.
old plan. I like it.
No, the neighborhood's changed so much since we've been up here. Before we got out here, this was like a Mercedes repair shop. Nate was here for it. I was not, but it was a whole
I wasn't
project.
working for Epic at the time, but I remember walking through with Dave Cole, our co-founder, and the brewer at the time, and I'm like, you guys are putting a brewery here? Really? I mean, you just didn't come to this part.
But now it's this area specifically is it's Brewery Alley, really.
Yeah.
There's 5 within a couple blocks here.
Look out the window, you can see,
Yeah.
Odell right there.
Yeah.
So
Odell, you got our mutual friend Ratio, the New River
Bierstadt,
North.
Black Shirt, River North.
Yeah.
There's 15, I
14,
think, independent beverage producers,
Yeah.
including distilleries and wineries, within a mile radius
Yeah, that's
in this
awesome.
neighborhood. It's crazy.
Brewers are notorious for taking parts of town that were just unutilized for so long and taking warehouse space and otherwise spots that people weren't using for a damn thing, and you can buy it cheap at the time, hopefully, and then be able to revitalize an area because it becomes the cool place to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So we like to do a little segment on here called Tight
Type
5. It's
5.
where comedians are expected to run their tightest 5 minutes of material, and no more, no less. So if you guys could just give us a little rundown on your beer experience, kind of your story, and what you do here at the brewery specifically.
All right, I'll start. I'm a lapsed attorney, actually. Started off practiced law for a couple of years. Went into recovery. Did some corporate recruiting for a couple of years. Hated it. Ended up here 2 years ago giving tours, and then kind of worked my way up, and now I'm managing the tap room amongst other retail-focused things.
That's awesome.
Wait, and you've had that job for how long?
A year as the GM here in Denver.
Ooh, better job than what you were doing before by the sounds of it, instead of doing the law
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, I'm sitting here doing a podcast drinking beer when before I'd be making cold calls and getting yelled at.
Yeah.
So this is a win for sure.
Not
Nice.
nearly as much fun.
Yeah, I'm not very versed in speaking with lawyers. I'm not good at it. It always backfires.
Or speaking in general. So,
Hey,
Boom.
words exist, okay? I have those. Time.
moving on. Jordan, if you want to tell us a little bit about you, some of your experience, because did you brew at other spots? What's your brewing background?
So brewing background, home brewer in college. Was living in Portland, Oregon, and decided I was going to try to get a job at a brewery. And it was right after the market crash. So there weren't really many jobs to be had there at that time, like 2009. So that got me looking at brew school. So I did that. I went to the UC Davis brewing program, and then got hired on with Epic right after I graduated.
Nice.
Pretty sick.
So,
And was that because I know Epic started in Utah?
Yeah,
So
we
did
did.
you join in Utah, or you join in Denver?
in Utah. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm actually most of the time based in Utah.
Okay.
Right now I'm living out here for over the next several months.
Worst places to have to just go away for work, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, did you think that having to brew within the constraints of Utah law, because the Mormons and stuff, actually made you a better brewer because you had to figure out how to make things a very specific way to kind of curtail around some of the regulations and laws? Or
I would say the Utah market kind of helped Epic make its niche, because we didn't really conform to the 4% draft laws.
Right.
So in Utah, our draft coverage is that's just not what we do.
Yeah.
We don't sell beer on draft in Utah. We the whole Epic stick was we only make strong beer.
Yeah.
So it all went into bottles, because that's the kind of silly thing about the laws in Utah. You can still pour full strength beer out of a bottle
Just not on
at
tap.
a bar. You could go to a bar and order a 10% beer.
how dare this comes out of the wall at higher than 5%? Yeah, there's so many. I was raised Mormon, and my little brother lived in Provo for a bit, right? And there's just so many kooky laws, which you're all too familiar with. But I remember being at some restaurant, and they had to walk shots around the bar to you, because in their mind it was slowing your pace down a little bit. The
Yeah.
10 steps that were involved.
I don't remember that. They used to have you had to sign up for every bar. It was a club that you
Yeah.
had to become a member of.
They need to keep tabs on all you heathens.
Yeah.
that are-
And
that
then
are
there's the
consuming.
Zion curtain. That's a good one too, where
Yeah, yeah.
if depending on the license you have to pour everything behind a wall so nobody can see it.
Oh, that's crazy! Like the start of a burlesque show.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that's where they go to change.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's where the rumor that Mormons fuck through sheets came from. Everything happens through a sheet in Utah. I don't really know. I heard that a bunch recently.
That's just a rumor? I thought that was real.
Well, not in my house.
Yeah, Korey was conceived through a King Soopers grocery bag.
I strictly use a sleeping bag in my house. You got to zip all the way up, and we have a little glory hole at the bottom.
Emphasis on little.
Yeah,
Things get
yeah.
interesting over there.
Yeah. So, cool, man. That's great. So, Nate, how about you? I mean, because we know each other. We have a mutual friend in Darren Wheat in upstate New York, who is how we got connected in the first place. So you used to work for a brewery out there, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I kind of had been a restaurant guy for a long, long time, and then in 2009 I started working with Oscar Blues here in Colorado at their restaurant. Shortly after that, I got a job working for a brewery out of San Diego. Rolled that job for about 6 years until they went bankrupt, and they moved me from Colorado to Pittsburgh, and then they moved me to Ypsilanti, Michigan, and then they moved me to Columbus, Ohio, and then they went bankrupt and I lost my job. So I spent,
Oh, man,
yeah,
you had such a good streak of getting out at just the right time.
yeah,
Until that
right?
last one.
Also,
my
you
gosh.
kind of sound like a curse for the business.
Yeah,
You're
well,
just really bad at
here I am.
selling beer.
Here I am
guys-
at Epic.
Yeah.
Just give me 18 months and
This place will
down
be
we
belly
go.
up in no time.
Yeah. And then I kind of rode mountain bikes for 4 months and lived off my unemployment check. And then a brewery out of Cleveland hired me to go take over and open the Western New York territory. So lived in Rochester for the last year. I'd known the guys from Epic since they started distributing to Colorado. In fact, I think Dave Cole, our co-founder, he came to my bar and was able to drink one of his beers on draft for the first time, his Brainless on Peaches.
Oh yeah.
Because he couldn't serve it in Utah. So he's like, oh, shoot, I can finally drink this beer
Yeah,
on
that's
draft.
awesome. Yeah.
And so these guys were looking to backfill kind of this sales job, and I got in touch with Dave, and things worked out, and I got to come back home to Colorado.
Yeah.
So here I am.
You're on the road quite a bit then. Weren't you just in Texas or something?
I was in Texas, I think it was beginning part of January, and I just got back from North Carolina.
yeah.
North Carolina is pretty cool. I feel like you're trying to repress the Texas memory. So I don't really remember.
I think what's really interesting is how much I travel is just seeing how different the beer scene is everywhere. Like
Yeah,
every town you go to thinks they have the most amazing beer scene, and you're like, the people one town over say the same thing about their beer scene.
Totally.
Which isn't to say that they don't have amazing beer, but like
it's all relative.
It's
that's very similar to like the comedy scene where it's like Fort Collins definitely could compete with the Denver comedy scene. Pretty much anybody thinks they have the best scene, except I think Colorado Springs knows that they fucking suck. I think they know that.
I grew up in the Springs. I could definitely attest to Colorado Springs. Yeah,
it's atrocious. Well, it's always funny too how you see certain styles that emerge from different areas. Like I'm wearing my Jenny Cream Ale shirt, so like everybody and their mom in the Rochester area makes a cream ale. But I even remember when I was visiting Belgium, and you're there for all the lambics and wild ales that they have available, and we stopped at one of the motor lambics in Brussels. And everybody was flipping out about this American pale ale that somebody had made, and they were so stoked about it. I took one sip, and I'm like, this is pure garbage. Yeah. It's terrible, but it's like the new thing to them, so they think it's the most exciting thing they've had encountered with in forever, just because it's a new taste.
Yeah, like you said, it's all relative.
Yeah. I remember there was a brewery at the other end of the Rhino District a few years back that everybody was so into it, and I've only ever returned 3 beers in my entire life because they were undrinkable, and 2 of them were at that brewery.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah. And so it's like, well, no wonder they went out of business, especially when every other brewery here does fine.
I don't know. I think that you guys can probably say the same thing. It's like, I don't mind drinking experimental weird shit.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't tolerate brewing flaws anymore. If I drink one more diacetyl IPA, I'm going to flip out.
Oh, yeah.
This is basic shit, guys.
But there's some stuff that, these breweries that exist in like really podunk towns where it's the only thing that's available, and they somehow just manage to survive for like 30 years because they're like, it's the only game in town.
Right.
Meanwhile, everything's just pure filth and not really great.
I mean, Taos, New Mexico, they had one brewery there for a while, and I'm like, I can't even believe the kind of equipment they had.
Yeah.
But they had like a green chili beer that everybody would talk about,
of course,
and love because we're all obsessed with green chili.
Yeah.
But it is the worst beer.
Who doesn't want more vegetables in there?
Yeah.
Now, actually, before I forget, did you have any like interesting mishaps or anything when you were brewing in college? Because I assume you're brewing in like your dorm room and stuff, right?
Yeah, I made the worst beer.
Yeah, just not great.
Like sulfur bombs. I remember I had a closet, and my roommate was like, "What the fuck? Can we swear? Is that cool?"
Fuck. I don't know.
My mom's going to listen to this podcast, and
we're way beyond that, yeah.
We're going to edit it out with, like, the harshest fucking bleeps possible. Just, like, we'll probably just switch it to, like, Little John saying, every time there's a swear.
Yeah.
No, swear all you fucking want. We love it.
So the beers weren't great. So
no, we actually built a still at one point to just, like, still off all the terrible beer into like grain alcohol.
So you actually
try to make our roommates
an extra step to make your not great beer like slightly more tolerable.
Even or worse depending.
And then he was hired. So how often? It's cool that we have like 3 different segments of the business here. How often do you guys like overlap and work with each other? Because I know from a sales perspective, like I'm a terrible brewer
and salesperson.
Okay.
and comedian, right?
Yes.
Getting into it.
You're the podcast guy now. You're in.
Yeah, I'm off the podcast. But so on brew days, I would be bored out of my mind, and it's not that I didn't respect like what the brewers were doing or anything like that. It was just a totally different enthusiasm level, So I was less of an engineering mind, less scientifically motivated, and more I want to be able to talk to people about all this fun stuff. So good rule of thumb was always bringing the brewers donuts, and then that gave me kind of carte blanche to go take a nap, in the lab for the rest of the day. How often do you guys overlap, and do you ever get in sales calls, and how often are you on brew days, things like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think we all work pretty collaboratively, and I think that's what I like about being here at Epic. Working for breweries where the office is 9 states away or across the country, you feel a little more disconnected. And I've got reps out there that are probably going to listen to this, and they're going to say the same thing, like, "Oh, I'm 9 states across the country, and I'm going to do this." But like this morning, we all sat in on a new item meeting where we all kind of talk about stuff we're going to come up with this year. And it's nice kind of with Josh in the tap room and me on sales and Jordan. Jordan is obviously the person that needs to execute all this stuff. So we can come up with the craziest idea, and he'll say, "Oh, that isn't going to work because of X, Y, Z. We can't package it because this amount of fruit is in the beer.
Like
and then,
French toast IPA.
Yeah, right.
And then, like,
pretty cool.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, and then it's Josh. Josh gets to probably have interaction with people that come into the brewery specifically for these kind of one-off and single beers that we do, and then where I'm out more in engaging probably with like, the dad who got into craft beer a couple years ago and really likes IPAs and ales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just kind of like.
Just ales in general.
What ales do you have?
So I don't know. I
Bud
really
Light and ales.
I like lagers and ales mostly, and you're like, yeah, everyone likes those.
Yeah, I think the sales data backs that up.
Yeah.
We're on it.
And or I don't know. I think it's cool working here because we can come up with some cool ideas and figure out like what's going to be a total stupid idea, or do we try this out?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of times where you have a great sample size here in the tap room of what's the most popular seller, and then figuring out the best way to be able to package and distribute that at a decent price point. Like, so how often do you guys collaborate on that stuff, like comparing sales data here to what you can actually transfer out into the market?
Yeah, I mean, all the time, because the tap room's going to get it first. I mean, we'll do an experimental batch of it 9 times out of 10, and it's just going to be in the tap room. So the tap room's constantly getting feedback from both customers and staff, and everybody gets a chance to try it and see if they like it and what it's all about. And if it does well there, then it's like, all right, let's push it out, or what do we want to change about it? So it's just constant part of the process where it's like everything goes from just Jordan's deranged mind to the tap room all the way up to nationwide. So it
awesome.
Works out pretty well. And yeah, it's really cool because the brew deck is like 10 feet back from the tap room. So we get a new beer. And it's like, yo, Jake, yo, Jordan, like, what the hell's in this,
Yeah,
and so it's really easy to get that really fresh beer and that really quick feedback, and, customers get to have that level of engagement that, everybody's looking for with, like, a craft product like this.
Totally.
Yeah, are there times where you can just, like, walk out onto the brew deck and be like, hey, Jordan, how about a French toast IPA? He's just like, nah, dude.
First, Jordan's never on the brew
Jordan
deck,
doesn't brew
right?
anymore.
He doesn't brew anymore.
Yeah, I don't brew anymore.
But, yeah, so
He's
we...
the figurehead.
No, we always throw them crazy ideas, and they're always like, I hate that. Yeah. I hate that. Like, I'm not doing that. Like
But I think the other aspect is sometimes the brewers will come to me and they'll be like, oh hey, we want to make a dunkel, and I'm like, cool, like I'm a purist. I like those classic styles, right?
Sure.
And I know we have a really talented crew around here that could kick ass on making a dunkel, but I'm like, yeah, go ahead and make one. You don't want me to sell it though, right?
Right.
Like it's just no one out there is asking for a dunkel.
Right.
Yeah.
It's.
I got this great idea for an amber ale that
Yeah,
I think I really
yeah.
like take
Like,
nice
off.
brown.
Yeah.
Nice brown.
Just can't do so. It's kind of that also that feedback going back that way too.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can do a
Are
small
there times either way where something really took off in the tasting room and you tried to make it work in the market and it didn't, or something that you thought was really going to blow up in the tasting room and you're like, why the hell don't more people like this?
You want me to pull up the list of brands we don't make anymore?
Yeah. I mean, we probably make fewer. Yeah, we've discontinued more beers than we've we have.
What are the ones that are the most disappointing for you guys that you were like, I love this thing so much?
I mean, my favorite of all time, and I think we still occasionally make it, but like the Santa Cruz Brown we made, which
that was
a
good.
brown ale, right? It was like we called it like an India brown ale, so it
Sure.
was like very hoppy, very malty, but super well balanced, nice creamy body to it, hoppy, earthy, fruity, with like really nice chocolate roasty notes to it. It was like my as a purist who like went through the whole phases of like lager IPAs, imperial IPAs, stouts, imperial stouts, and all the way back to lagers. Like that's like the ideal beer.
Yeah.
But nobody buys it except for people who work here. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
would make it, and
They
the
know
staff
better.
would drink it,
I
but
feel
nobody
like
else does.
I feel like sometimes things that just work in tap rooms just don't work in the package. Like traditional styles are that way.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, Mid Mountain Mild, which is like just our kind of traditional mild ale, or like just our lagers. Those are the ones that I really like to drink. But you put that in a can, and it's just not going to sell because it doesn't say IPA.
Flying
on it.
in here to
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna take a 6-pack of miles, please.
Yeah. Although the Crispy Boys are making a comeback.
Yeah.
All the Crispy Pilsners and stuff. So
Yeah.
you got your Drink Lagers hat
Yeah, I
on.
know.
It's looking pretty retro, pretty fresh.
It's
Thank you.
funny whenever we were at Big Beers in Breckenridge, and like half the brewers there were walking up to Jordan saying, "Oh man, that's an awesome hat."
Killer
In the
hat.
meantime,
Yeah.
everyone's got these weird Belgians and high strength pastry stouts, but everyone there wanted to drink a lager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for brewers, lighter lagers are typically where you gravitate for your everyday drinker because it's made well and it's easy to drink, low ABV, so you can just kind of keep cruising without 3 beers later being like, how am I getting home? Where do I live? I don't even know where to go at this point.
Yeah.
You never knew where you were going. I think that this is a good segue into, we like to ask everybody like a featured beer, and you guys have something special for us today.
Yeah, that's a kind of a direct middle finger to different things you have to deal with on the sales side of all the trends that are happening in the beer business.
So it's actually kind of a funny story. I started with Epic in August, and so we did like every Tuesday we have this brand committee meeting. We talk about new beers, and I just gotten done meeting with a couple of big chain accounts. And they're like, and then we're wondering what your better for you category beer is. And I'm like, I got into beer sales. I'm a shitty salesman. I like talking about
I don't
beer,
know. You
right?
just sold me on yourself right now.
So I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, we don't really have a low-cal beer.
I'm lazy, boring, and bad at public speaking.
Yeah.
You're hired.
And so we're sitting in this committee meeting, and I'm like, can we talk about having like a low-cal beer or something? And our co-founder goes, why do we want to do that when everyone else is doing that? Let's just go the opposite direction. And Jordan kind of ran with that, and his brew team, we came up with this beer as just a high-cal
IPA.
Yeah, this it looks pretty chewy. This is a thick beer.
So this beer isn't finished yet, though, Jordan.
So yeah, this is unconditioned.
This is straight out of the fermenter.
Yeah, so it's
Has
still
been
actually
conditioned.
dropping, but it's almost done. But it's sitting at like 12.1 ABV.
Nice.
Wow.
Really sessionable, yeah.
But yeah, we
Oh, when you try it, actually.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like Belgian beers in particular are always like notorious for that, right? You get like a St. Bernardus Abbot 12 that's like super sweet and easy to drink. But then 3 beers in and somebody's falling out of their bar stool because the ABV is so high, it sneaks up on you.
I could get really drunk off of this.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
It hides that ABV well.
It really does.
Yeah.
You can't tell that it's that high at all.
Yeah, it's juicy.
Oh, that's delicious, yeah.
So we used a ton of hops, some pretty cool hops, some Slovenian hops, Grüngeist, Styrian Dragon, and then just a little bit of Citra.
Are you just naming Game of Thrones characters?
Wait, that's our next beer.
It's the coolest named hop, I think.
Yeah.
Styrian Dragon.
Do you have a name for this beer yet?
Super IPA me.
Super IPA, man.
So, like, we're not a bunch of creative people, right? Like,
Please don't
I'll
sue us,
sit here and I'll
McDonald's.
vacillate over, like, what are we going to call this beer? And then our co-founder will be like, just call it this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
What kind of beer is it? It's an IPA. What's nice about it? It's super.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that.
I think that
it's
we
a
were
good-
we were playing on that
Super
Morgan
Size Me.
Spurlock movie, Super Size Me.
Oh,
Oh,
hell yeah.
I was
From years
thinking.
ago?
I was thinking the Doug Benson Super High Me.
Yeah.
Same
We just thought of
IPA.
thought of a new one
It's
today.
like, how many cheeseburgers and french fries can we pack into an IPA?
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
That's what we're going
So this
for.
isn't
awesome.
dry hopped with Big Mac sauce or anything like that?
I
We
think
thought
that-
about it.
Yeah, we thought
It's not that we threw it off the table.
might be a step too far for us. I don't know.
We wanted to serve a little, like, slider on top of each can.
Ooh, that
Oh
would be
yeah,
nice.
like on a skewer.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Be pretty good.
But I mean, for not even being finished yet or carbonated yet, it's tasting really good.
Yeah.
It
no,
tastes
this is
really
wonderful.
good. I would also. This is the kind of I would say that this is like a great breakfast beer as well. I would drink this all day long, but
Good beer
like
mosa.
yeah,
You
very
drink it
good for a
until
beer
noon and then
mosa.
fall asleep is.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, king of naps, baby.
Yeah.
Just get it in halfway through the day. Yeah, you get a ton of fruit flavor. I mean, the bitterness definitely there, so it's not just straight juice, right? And then the ABV, you get a touch of the booziness, but I know that'll mellow out a bit, like as it kind of develops a little bit more.
it's
But
a
this is
little-
awesome.
it's a
I'm
little
excited
hot.
for this.
No.
Yeah, this is gonna be.
I think we're getting like 13 barrels or what's in the tank now, but
Yeah.
we're not going to yield 13 barrels.
Well, I think we're going to yield 13 barrels.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's why we have the brewery here.
But we
Tommy.
put 20
Yeah,
in.
idiot.
Oh wait, we put 20 in the tank?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, idiot.
Yeah.
So we have 20 in the tank and we're getting 13 barrels out.
Yeah.
Talk about
It's-
over-promising on the sales
Yeah,
side. Hey, look,
absolutely.
we got
Wow.
tons of barrels of this coming out.
I think
it's
this
also
one will.
we calculated. I think it's like 485 calories.
Nice.
Nice.
So it's a meal replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, you could pitch it
Drink
as that.
4 of those.
It's your post-workout recovery drink for sure.
Great for
If
somebody
you're
in a
bulking.
nursing home that just needs to fill a meal, kind of numb the pain of
It's-
your
you know what?
family abandoning you.
You can have an Ensure or one of these.
Too soon.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My grandfather died a couple years ago, so it's not too soon for me.
Oh, yeah. This
Anywho.
podcast needs more alcohol for
Hey,
sure.
you made it sad to begin with. You started this thing off on a sad note.
Yeah, and then you just kept going.
That's how we do it. That's
Well, welcome to comedy.
We just
Welcome
keep
to how
drinking,
comedy
guys?
works.
Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, so I like the fact that you guys actually made an effort to kind of go the opposite way from what the beer industry is doing. Because like we had discussed before, it seems like every year everybody's just trying to hop on whatever fad is happening because one brewery took off with a product. You know, a couple of years ago it was Citradelic with New Belgium, so everybody and their mom came out with like some kind of fruited IPA, like Ballast Point grapefruit and whatever. And then it was hazies, and then now it's seltzers, and everybody's coming out with like a low-cal hazy pale option, which to me is basically just a watered-down version of the thing you're trying to do really well.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about all these hazes, like, remember when everyone thought session IPAs were going to be super big?
Right.
But all-day IPA kind of cornered the market on that.
That was the only thing,
And
yeah.
no one else did it. Like, now we're just kind of going back to the same thing, just rebranding it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's fun when we're able to kind of do something like this and kind of say, you know, put the industry on its head. Like, we can't chase trends. We're never gonna beat that, right? We're never gonna stay out ahead of it. So let's just do what we're gonna do. Say fuck it.
I love that.
you know?
Yeah. That's very similar to like a comic mentality too. Like there's a lot of like trends in comedy where it's like, oh man, we won't get into too much in this, but Kobe Bryant's death was a very big controversial thing, and the comedy community, it's like, oh well, we're all gonna make these jokes now, and it's like, maybe it's better if you don't. Maybe just go the other way and don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And it seriously helps so many careers to just not follow the trend that
Yeah.
everybody's following.
I mean,
yeah.
There's so many comedians, I think, that are just like, you know, fuck it. If you don't like my comedy, don't come to the show.
For sure.
You
Yeah.
paid to see me.
Yeah, you got to kind of.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Well, if Korey had a following, he would be that.
The other thing too is like people will joke about the same stuff all the time. Like buttholes are really popular right now.
Like,
Everybody's
eating
making
ass.
an
Like,
eating ass joke.
Eating ass.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
do a ass flavored beer for these comics?
Yeah, so if you want to move in a direction that nobody else is, that's probably one. Just get some butt follicles from a hair, you know, wild yeast grains. I think that could be a
We
move.
boil all that, right?
Yeah, like, kind of like the Rogue thing, like the beard hair.
Oh, the beard beer?
Yeah, but we'll go butt hairs.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Is John Mayer still the brewer at Rogue, or did he retire?
I don't even know.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Beer geeky.
Well, getting hairs from your butt's definitely a good way to make a funky wild ale.
Super fun.
So as soon as you guys leave, you know what we're doing up here.
Yeah, I mean, if you want some of ours, we'll clip them off right now. With
Perfect.
pictures, we'll add it to the Instagram. It'll be really good for everybody.
That's why we do radio. This
Yeah,
is great.
like session IPAs to me, because we were talking about it. Like I always hated them, just because I feel like you're just making a watered down pale ale. Like if you want to have a medium bodied hoppy beer that's not that high ABV, just make a good pale ale.
Have a pale ale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always my night.
I don't know. I think it's so weird. You look at so many people are like, oh, there's so many IPAs out there. Everyone just makes all these IPAs. And like, I think IPA has just been so bastardized. Like that's what sells. So you just call everything an IPA.
Right.
But it's not all IPA.
Sure.
You know, it's just, I don't know.
Fucking marketing department.
Yeah,
They're
it's,
not-
yeah, right.
they're not
It's,
pale, and
I mean,
a lot
at,
of them are lagers.
at this point, that's how it is. So you know, why try to ice skate uphill?
Yeah, well, you get so many marketing departments that get involved with these bigger decisions too, and that's one of the the hazy IPA category is something we talk about a lot, just because everybody's making one now, but they're calling something an IPA, what's really just a new style. You know, I mean, yeah, it has more hops in it than like your average ale or a lager or something like that, but in reality, it's a totally different brewing process where it's tons of aroma hops, not as much boil hops, but you have some IPAs, quote unquote, that are coming out now that have 0 IBUs. And at that point, it's like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah.
It's a multi IPA.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a multiverse, man.
I think that's why, I don't know, I think that's why it's okay to just have the New England style IPA, because that's kind of, I mean, what it is, right? Like you said, it's
Sure.
a new style.
But
So
even-
at least you're like distinguishing between the regular kind of what we came to know IPA.
For sure. But even some of the most notorious New England IPAs, you got like Sip of Sunshine from Lawson's Liquids or Heady Topper from The Alchemist. Those are still bitter beers. Like
Yeah.
if you have them, like even Lawson's Sip is still pretty clear. You know, it's not even like
Compared to
really
a lot
that
of them
hazy.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're popular because they're so approachable, and the hop flavors are such like passion fruit and tropical and things like that. But you're just like, I love IPAs, man. It's like, no, you don't, man.
Yeah.
You don't love IPAs. Not like I love IPAs, man.
I love IPAs the most.
You love hazies.
I love beer.
Yeah. It's,
I came around to the hazies. I was a curmudgeonly piece of shit.
Like an old man on the internet.
Yeah, old man yells at cloud. I was like, at best, this represents a poor brewing technique. At worst, it represents bad beer. And I definitely have come along. I still prefer West Coast styles. Like, I want to be able to see through that motherfucker. But
yeah,
I'm personally glad the bitter wars are over.
Oh yeah.
They're like, I'm gonna do 100 IBUs.
200 IBUs, man.
Nice. Well, I think that's ready for time for my favorite segment.
Woo, it's mine too.
this is the chug a beer.
This is the chuggable
nice.
segment.
It is my favorite segment. And so what we're gonna have each of you do, we're gonna time each of you individually chugging this beer. We do have a leaderboard. Currently,
Sorry, Mom.
If you win, she'll be proud. So one thing we do have you do is like just say what the beer is up top, just the name of it, and then as soon as you're done chugging it, describe it to us. Maybe you guys could try to do it a little differently because you can talk about it from a sales perspective, you can talk about it from a brewing point, and then you can talk about it from like a tap
lawyer.
room.
Yeah,
As a
lawyer.
lawyer.
Yeah.
This beer is gonna
Consume responsibly.
Don't get in a car.
a lot of signatures involved.
And if you have to burp since you just chugged a beer, just go for it.
Highly encouraged.
Yeah, highly encouraged. We have a lot of fun.
So
Yeah.
so name the beer first, right?
So name the beer first.
All right. So this is a Deep Pocket Lager. Nice little crisp
Deep Pocket
boy.
Lager.
Don't describe it.
Cool.
No, don't describe
Don't
it.
describe it.
Here we
Don't
go.
cheat.
Deep
Beer.
Pocket Lager. I'm cheating. All right, ready?
Deep breath. It's like he's smelling it first. He's mentally preparing
yeah.
for this challenge.
Uh-oh.
Pretty good. A little on the beard. I'm excited for later.
Oh yeah, 5.93.
Very respectable. Good score. Good score.
Very
Many
good.
medals he will win.
The crispiest beer we make.
Anything else, Nate? Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
No,
I'll take another one. Or a little more.
He's collecting himself a bit.
Got some more.
All right, Jordan, you're up.
All right.
Same beer, right?
Same beer, Deep Pocket Lager.
Okay.
All right.
The mental preparation on these guys. He also did like a down, up, down drink thing, kind of like he would do in Flip Cup, which was pretty
Whoa,
good.
look at him go.
Whoa.
Man,
There
that
you
long
go.
hair
Okay.
serves him well.
I got you beat by like.
What do we got for a score?
We got 6.3.
Very respectable, still good, but the guy.
Is that 410?
Do you guys want to know what I'll tell you right now where I was on this. We actually chugged the Escape to Colorado IPA for the starters, which is
chuggable.
not chuggable. Korey did a great job. I ended at 13.9.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you can tell the salespeople know how to put it down. We've done this enough times. You've chugged so many beers on distributor meetings and sales calls.
It's knowing how to work when drunk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Josh,
Are you
this one
ready?
comes down to you.
Focus, prepared. You can tell he's been training for this for a long time. Build a little on the shirt, but that's fine. It's respectable. He was going for it.
6.53.
All right.
Ooh.
You're right. Your mom is going to be disappointed.
See, I work in beer. I gave up on like having my mom be proud of me as soon as I stopped being a lawyer.
Sure, that's fair.
Like that was peak proud.
I gave up on self-respect a long
Yeah.
time ago.
So now here I am, losing the competition, beer on my shirt.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
okay.
Everything's
You're good. You're fine.
Everything's
You're great.
I'm
He's
with
going to
you.
jump off the brew deck after this, but he's fine.
Yeah. I'm with you, Corey. Like, I don't have any self-respect, but honestly, I haven't really needed it for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't even miss it.
That's the dream, though. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to fight for. You're also a lot older than me, so I'm working to get
I think I'm the oldest guy
Yeah, you
here.
old bag of dicks. Well, actually, that kind of segues into another segment a little bit that we like to do. Where you had already, Josh, you already told us about a job that you left that you clearly weren't in love with because that's why you came to the beer industry. So I love to do like worst job, or the job that kind of you were doing right before you got into this. That kind of you were like, I need to get into something more fun and something more enjoyable.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay,
I'm done.
exhausted. Jordan, how about you?
I got fired from a job once.
Hell yeah, tell us.
So that was cool. It was a pretty terrible job, bussing tables at a restaurant. And then, I don't know if you've ever worked at a restaurant.
Yep.
And it's super busy. And the hosts have to, like, know the sections of the servers and all that. I knew nothing about that, but the host didn't show up. So they had me do it. And
so I just sit on the patio. You're at
so I was
the
just like, I was just putting people wherever.
Plenty of space outside on the sidewalk.
You're like, we're on a date. Can we sit together?
So I think what's funny is like Jordan's got long hair, very kind of hippie-ish looking. And if I was running a restaurant, I'd be like, well, I guess the busboy that looks like this is going to be the host today.
Do you even work here?
Yeah.
That is not the face.
Like, did
you
this
want
guy
in
just
business.
show up here?
Bathrooms are for the customers only, sir.
So the servers got all mad at me because I'm not doing the proper rotation and all that. And so it just was a shitty day. So another coworker handed me a joint because they saw how stressed I was. Mm-hmm. So I took it right to the back, like right by the back door, and just smoked up. And it was just all billowing into the restaurant.
Hell yeah. I would pay extra money to go to that restaurant, to be honest.
Like a casino, they're just pumping marijuana smoke into the establishment.
Sales went up 50%.
Yeah.
You shotgunned everybody in that establishment that day.
You guys got any good sandwiches?
Was it a chain or was it like an independent?
No, it was just like small restaurant.
Oh, that'd be great if it was like an Outback Steakhouse or something.
Yeah,
Just,
that'd be better.
What are you guys smoking these ribs with? Afghan Kush?
Delicious.
Nate, how about you? What was like your worst job or the one that kind of were like, I need to get the fuck out of here?
I was working for a corporate restaurant for like 10 years, and nothing is like worse than going and telling people I went to college like for 5-6 years and have a master's degree and I'm the manager at a Chili's. You know, like, so I was just fucking miserable, and it showed. And one day my boss and the area director came in and they're like, "You're done," and I was like, "Fuck you guys, awesome." And then I remember they called me for like an exit interview, and I was like, "Nah, absolutely not." Like, not. So I don't know. Restaurant management, I think, is probably what I was really, really bad at, considering how many times I've been fired for doing it.
Yeah, you were trying to pay off that graduate program one chili popper at a time.
Yeah, exactly. One awesome blossom at a time. So, yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Nice.
Before we get too far away from the beer that you guys just chugged, tell us a little bit more about it, because it's a great pilsner. But you guys don't do a lot of lagers, right?
No.
Like you're known for your sours. You're known for the Big Baptista, which is like your imperial stout. So tell us a little bit about the pils, because it's really great.
Been advocating for more lagers for a while now.
You can tell you're just salty about it.
The funny thing is, like, he's in charge of making the beer. Just make one, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Just showed up one day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
if it were
It's like-
only that.
Yeah, see, didn't we talk about collaboration before?
It's like blackout ordering stuff on Amazon. Like, I didn't know I was into swords. You know?
Now I got 3 of them. Pretty cool.
So yeah, this beer is just wanted to play around with a different yeast strain than we usually use. So using a Bohemian lager strain, which is really nice for lagers. Just wanted to make something super light and drinkable, and kind of has that nice biscuity notes that I like on a pilsner.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Wasn't this kind of Brian Springer's kind of help? He was kind of collaborative in coming up with this. So I mean, I think what's cool is, and I definitely want to give Jordan and his brew team props on this, is like they all work together on coming up with good ideas. And this beer was a product of, you know, Jordan and then a couple of other brew guys.
So Brian wanted to make a Kolsch, so I had to make a Kolsch recipe.
You were like, fuck
But
that
then I was
noise.
like, dude, Kolsch yeast is it's pretty so-so.
Yeah.
So
If we're going to go
So, yeah,
light,
like
we want
we
to go
went-
hard in the paint. We
Yeah.
go pills, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, he did the recipe, and then I just chose the yeast strain that I wanted to use. So
Cool.
Brian,
Wow.
shout out to Brian Springer
And John Hamm,
and John.
the actor.
The one and only. The one and only. Well, I think this will be a good segue into our next segment that we really enjoy, and we find that the other brewers have really enjoyed. And so what we've done is found some negative reviews online for Epic Brewing. And
Oh God.
one thing, you're out of here, aren't you? Well, one thing about the online reviews is that a lot of them are, you can't control them, and a lot of them are just stupid and just
Yeah.
upset people that are not happy with anything.
I've been waiting for this for years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so-
I mean, with that being said, you guys do have like a 4.7 rating on Google, so it's not
That's
like
it?
it's not like it's high.
Hey, don't look at me.
So, Josh, I'm going to have you read this one because this one may or may not be about you specifically.
Oh yeah, this guy. No, this is about me. Yeah.
Can you read the guy's name too?
Yeah, so Eric F. So first, fuck you, Eric.
Fucking Eric.
1-star review. Beer was good. Staff was on edge. GM was conducting business at the end of the bar, clearly stressing everyone out. When my guest asked him if they had napkins, he was obviously displeased. You are your customer's perception of who you are, and you, sir, are an ass.
But
next.
What? Did you have napkins?
I did, and I got him napkins.
Tell us, Josh, where are the napkins?
Yeah, it was. I remember this guy. I was at the end of the bar. I was having a meeting with a couple of people. I'm clearly not working. Like I'm on like the customer end of the bar.
Yeah.
But I was wearing an Epic shirt.
Sure.
I'm in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden this guy's like, "Hey, can you get me some napkins?" And I just like, "You serious right now?" I'm like, "Okay." And I just go get him some napkins, and then. Yeah, next thing I know, I get this Yelp review.
Yeah.
Then I'm an ass. I was like, yeah, I was displeased.
Well, the beers were on edge.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's what you guys are
The
going
servers
for.
were on edge, yeah. No, that was something I knew immediately I was going to get a Yelp review. I got a single character email from the owner as a result of that Yelp review, just question mark.
So, do you want to tell us that?
Yeah, right? So question mark. I was like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Who's the bigger ass?
here's
The
what
guy
happened.
who's like going online and calling people an ass, or the guy who's just trying to do his job? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's so ridiculous.
Also, I love how the
mo-
first two parts of the review were like great, and then like the,
Yeah, right.
the
Beer was
napkins would drop you down to a 1 star.
Right. The fact that he didn't have, and because we don't even have food, so he was eating Shake Shack across the
Oh,
street.
yeah, and he didn't bring his- yeah.
And he didn't bring napkins. He was, not eating it very well, and just immediately needed napkins, even though there was a bartender, 2 feet away from him. Of
course.
He sees me next to the bar having a conversation about parking or something. I was having a meeting with like the city of Denver about parking
Man, you're just pissing
at the
everybody
bar.
off.
Yeah, right.
Can you have another
parking
meeting? I
is-
just got $100 parking.
Yeah, don't get me
Yeah, yeah.
started about the city of Denver.
he comes
that's
in and
right.
he's just like, "What's the closest thing you have to Bud Light?" Also, I'm gonna need like 200 napkins.
I need napkins.
Where
and
do you have
I
any
need them now.
forks? Do you got a fork for me? But that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I got
that
one.
was a nice one.
I've got one that was 2 stars from Jared Davis. Can't respect a brewery that doesn't allow dogs on the patio. For shame.
Well, one, our patio is now dog
Very
friendly.
You're very defensive about that. So
Well, it was just because our
He's
patio
jumping
was
across
very
the table.
small.
I think we really got Josh's goat on this.
Yeah, well, no, I told you I've been waiting for this forever. Because it's my job to look at these things, and I don't get to respond to them. So I feel like this is a safe space that I
Yeah.
can say whatever I want about it. But first, our patio is now dog friendly.
That's great.
So that's a good. But before, we just had a lot of people, and like the only thing worse than somebody bringing a dog onto a patio is somebody bringing a really poorly behaved dog onto the patio.
Just making
Yeah,
a
just-
mess,
just-
not having any napkins.
Just
to
like,
clean
yeah,
it
they
up.
just darts after the servers, jumps up, servers out there with 2 trays of beers.
yeah.
Dog just decides, hey, I'm going to jump up on them, and then the beer spills everywhere.
Hey, listen, man.
So-
If my dog wants to bite somebody's ankles while I'm enjoying an imperial
Yeah.
stout, that's my business. Okay, that's on me.
5 stars.
I
Yeah,
paid
yeah.
you my $4. I own this place now.
So, constructive criticism,
Yeah.
reviewer.
I really
patio's
enjoy
now
places that let my terrible dog impede on everybody else's privacy.
done. We also had a dog that they swore left, down, right, and up. That was a service dog that somehow managed to make it from the tap room all the way back into the cellars before anybody could catch him.
Whoa.
So that's the
that's
whole
like
other
super.
thing. Yeah.
That's so much more illegal than.
It's like, why don't you just go eat some hops while you're back there, dog?
Yeah.
Maybe it was like Lassie. Somebody was stuck in a fooder.
Dog was doing us a favor.
maybe the
What-
dog
what
knew.
gives it all the flavor?
Maybe the dog knew that there weren't enough napkins. All
Did
right.
you guys find any beer ones? Any
Well, this one wasn't beer specific per se, but it says small pours, high prices. Would avoid this place like the plague.
I mean,
Where's
let's
my
see.
Bud Light?
I would. So that guy's basically saying I would rather get the bubonic plague and die of horrible pustules than pay for beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine,
as long as it
fine.
didn't cost a lot of money.
But hey, listen.
Good luck.
Seems like a solid bit of luck.
I'm gonna have a lot of money in hospital bills after I get out of this place because they haven't cleaned the draft lines in a long time. But it was $1 for a pint, and I am happy.
I paid $8 for a sampler for a flight, but it should have been $6.
Plus, there was this sweet dog that peed on my leg.
Jordan, I'm going to have you read this one.
Oh, there you go.
It's not about the beer specifically, so sorry, but I think it's good for you to
Yeah.
understand what's going on here.
Good beer, but so cold. Maybe the heater was broken. Epically cold. Ba-dum-tsh. C squared down the street is much warmer.
Somebody took their time out of their day to just be like, it's cold in here. Like, what the fuck? Like, that has absolutely nothing to do with the beer.
Yeah.
It was cold. Like, dress warmer. This is Colorado. That's
It's
not
like somebody walking in asking what the weather's like out on the patio. You know?
Yeah.
You just came inside,
I
man.
think
Tell me.
like you look around here. This building was built in what, the 30s?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a whole. You don't see a whole lot of HVAC ducts in here.
Yeah.
And if you look in the back and you see the cellarmen like bundled up, they're cold too, man, and they work here. Like, if we could turn up the heat, we fucking would.
Yeah.
This global warming thing's really harshing my
I was actually here when we had those bomb cyclones. We had one of those, and you guys stayed open, which was fucking rad because it's hard to do. But like, we came in here because nobody else was open, and guess what? I wasn't cold. It was crazy snowing outside. We had the time of our lives in here.
Yeah,
I like that you came because
bartenders
nobody
know.
was open and not because the beers are great.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
the
there was literally
bartenders
nowhere
know.
else to
No,
go.
They don't
literally
show
the
up.
last choice.
They're fired.
We would have gone any
Steve.
fucking where
Whatever.
else. Yeah.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You know what? You can read this last review here that we have for you.
Just real quick, what I don't like about that review is the epic pun. Because if I fucking hear
There's
that epic pun
a lot of
one
them.
more time.
There's so many epic puns. Epic fail. It's like, what?
Okay, here we go from John W. Sports bar. Period. End of sentence. Next paragraph. Like, what's with that? First of all, I've been 4 times now, and only once been able to find a seat because friends coincidentally were already there and had space at their table. Cool, man. Got a spot.
So he has no friends.
Shows up
Yeah,
late.
absolutely. Hey, so let's see. Your friends are at a popular spot they like hanging out at. All right. Went on a weekend, and the entire room was full of sports ball watchers watching sports ball.
I'm sorry.
No, he's just being ironic.
Creative
What a dick.
writing. Creative writing.
On its own, that's fine. Cool, man.
He doesn't sound like he's cool.
Yeah, doesn't sound fine. But camping out all day nursing 2 beers, not cool. Thankfully, there's lots of breweries in Denver. And these guys are doing okay without my business anyway. I'll be enjoying a beer elsewhere.
You sure are.
This
Awesome.
successful business
Yeah.
can go to hell.
So, like, yeah.
Screw this. I'm going to the sports
Nice
tavern.
pick on that one. I
Yeah.
mean, John W. really just, we have a successful business. Fuck you.
If everybody was just enjoying all of the chuggable beers that we have at
Yeah.
Epic, they wouldn't just be sitting on their asses as long.
John W., next time you come in, let us know. If sports ball's on the TV, we'll put on whatever you want to do. Maybe
Yeah.
a Golden Girls marathon, designing women,
Some reality
Yeah.
TV.
Roadshow.
Antiques Roadshow. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Josh
We'll
will
put-
drop on all 4s and you can sit on his back.
Yeah,
if you don't have a chair.
Listen, if you don't have a
We'll
chair,
even get you napkins.
you let us know.
Yeah.
I will personally come down and bring a chair from the office. In fact, you can even sit up here and watch all the people enjoying their beer from up top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Use my
so-
computer to write your next review.
It
Your
is.
window of judgment.
This is
Yeah.
the most opposite vibe of a sports bar that exists. Like I don't think there's any brewery in Denver that's like a sports vibe to it. But like, you're comparing this to like
there's 2
Stoney's
TVs
or,
down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2
Or is there
TVs.
3?
Well, the third one's just a slideshow of stupid memes, but 2 of them, yeah. So it depends on what's going on. Like,
Which I
yeah, if
support.
there's a big game on, sure, we'll have the game on. But
Yeah.
also, like, Tom's working right now, so it's probably the Science Channel. Like,
Right.
it really depends on what's going on, you know? So,
Next review.
was a-
Nerds.
yeah.
Nerds wouldn't put a sports ball game
Hey,
on.
nerds. I mean, that's a
Science
5-star
guys
review, right?
watching
Yeah,
science
yeah,
stuff.
Jordan, you seemed very excited to hear some bad reviews about your beer. Is there anything that comes to mind for you that you you read an Untapped review or something and you were like,
I wanted to hear one. Yeah.
okay, sorry, no, everything's
the tap
exceptional.
room was getting all the love.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
blame the tap room and the
why I'm here,
salesperson
man.
that.
Hey,
Yeah,
yep.
sorry, didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
Not sure
You know
what
what?
he does.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows what
Do
the
it.
salespeople do.
I don't even know what I do.
Yeah. You
I
just
come
show
to
up
work
some,
every day.
That much
Do
is clear.
podcasts.
That
You just
much
show
is
up some days with an expense account and they're like, who wants to sell some Epic?
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know. I got about 160 emails I need to haven't answered yet, so I must be doing something.
Yeah, it
We're
just
not
sells
doing
itself.
anything. Yeah, we'll see.
So one of the things that I found online recently was a couple different like collaborations and even their own unique line of beers. So it looks like ICP, the Insane Clown Posse, just came out with 3 new craft beers that everyone can enjoy. So I was curious about like, do you guys have a collaboration that you would love to do, whether it's with like another brewery or maybe an artist or somebody like that? Because you could team up with ICP and get some frothy whoop dub, 3 frothy fucking flavors, including Punk Slap, Blue Balls, and Neatin' Wet. All for your drinking pleasure. So I know competition's pretty stiff out there, so I don't know if you guys are planning on going out of business soon now that it's so crowded with if you're down with the clown.
I feel like they just took like Faygo and poured vodka into it, and they're just canning it and selling it that way.
So until I lived in Michigan, I had no idea what Faygo was.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and then he started wearing face paint and started going to the gathering of the Juggalos, and you're like, these are my people.
Faygo's like a soda.
Yeah, but there's like a million flavors,
like
and
Jolt?
they're like,
No, it's like more like Fanta.
yeah, but they have like cotton candy soda, and I don't. Here's the thing: is I don't think that this podcast is going to get very many Juggalo listeners.
Well, then we're not aiming for the right target.
Yeah,
Yeah, so do you guys have a collaborator that you'd really love to work with in some capacity? John Hamm, perhaps?
Hey, John, come by. Let's talk beer.
Yeah.
So I haven't thought of anything super edgy or anything, but I was like, oh, that'd be fun to do.
I don't know if I can follow up with ICP, but
That's a tough one to follow up
Yeah.
on. So Jordan, I mean,
I wanted to do a collaboration with Bernie Sanders, but I don't
Ooh,
know,
there
maybe
you
that's
go.
aiming too high.
with Bernie Sanders, do you think Bernie Sanders would come in and have a beer with us?
if he's,
feel like he's
I
cool.
bet he would. Yeah, I bet he would, as long as you had like the proper security. But yeah,
It would have to be really inexpensive and nationally distributed to everybody for free.
everybody gets an ounce.
Yeah.
Everybody gets 1 ounce.
We did 13 barrels. Divide this among 350 million people. Here you go.
I'm canceling sales tax on all beers.
Josh, what do you got?
I don't know. I'm a big soccer guy, so Colorado Rapids fan, which is kind of tough because, being as our other brewers in Utah, big Salt Lake fans over there.
Yeah.
And I heard like we did a beer with Nick Raimondo one time. I think I
did.
read that on the internet somewhere.
Yeah,
Who was the
Raimondo's
longtime
lit.
goalkeeper for Salt Lake. So I would want to do something with Denver to kind of even things out because there's a little bit of a rivalry between the different breweries. I know.
And
Yeah.
Raimondo retired, didn't he?
And he retired this past year.
I
Yeah.
guess now we can do it.
Give him a call.
Perfect. No, I'll call the Rapids tomorrow, and
I got them
see
on
if they
speed dial. I'll just give you their number.
Yeah. Yeah, Stan Kroenke, spend some money, you asshole. But
Dude, it's for those people. It's off topic, but Kroenke is really blowing it for Denver sports fans. Like, I hate him so much right now. I'm a big hockey fan, and I can't watch the Avalanche, and it just sucks. So it's like,
the Av games aren't showed.
Avs, Nuggets, Mammoth,
I'm out of the
Rapids.
loop.
Probably hurts you
What's
guys a
going on?
lot because it's a sports bar.
Yeah, it's a sports bar.
Really killing
Not
our
having
sports
those
bar.
Av games on is probably killing business.
At least John W. or whoever can come get a chair.
Yeah. So actually, one thing I did want to bring up because I saw something funny, and it seems like you guys like to work with adjuncts a lot. I saw a brewery that was.
don't. It's okay. It's okay, Jordan.
This is killing it. It's like I just stabbed him in the fucking stomach. Well, somebody just dumped like 20 boxes of Lucky Charms into a batch of beer that they
I
just
remember
made.
that
I don't know if
one.
you guys saw that.
Yeah,
but
who
That's
was
what
that?
we wanted to do with
105
this.
West or something?
Yeah,
Like,
405. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any particular cereals that you guys are planning on brewing with in the near future?
We're talking
or-
about donuts.
Do like a
throwing
voodoo
straight
thing,
up
or
Yeah.
donuts into the mash tun.
Count Chocula Baptist. That's
Count
it.
Chocolate.
Oh, that'd be
Baptist.
sick.
There you
That's
go.
nice.
Cinnamon
Spooky.
Toast Crunch Baptist.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Cinnamon toast, French toast, crunch, Baptist.
So do you guys have any adjuncts that you really, some like weird adjuncts that you've brewed with in the past or something that you thought might turn out better than it actually did?
We made a cricket goza.
A cricket goes up?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that work?
Deliciously.
Yeah,
Are they salty on their own right, or do you have to add stuff in later?
I'm not sure if they actually added flavor, but they kind of had a red,
They added protein.
It did add protein.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a collaboration with a Mexican brewery called Crew.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they made it down there, and then did this whole import program, and it was smoked salt and crickets. And yeah, I don't know, it turned out I think it was just the beer itself was really good, and I can't really say what the crickets added, but
That's
maybe
super
it's that
interesting,
little
though.
interesting.
Another meal replacement beer. You guys
Yeah.
are really health conscious, health forward.
Yeah, stop eating, drink beer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had that smoked salt in it too, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was a really good beer.
that's awesome.
Anything that you want to brew with that you haven't yet? Caterpillars?
Prickly pear is one that is
yeah.
on the horizon.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
fruit adjunct.
It's one I've been.
That one's kind of seasonal, though, right? I don't know a lot about prickly pears, but I feel
Well,
like
it comes from a
there's-
cactus, right? It's the fruit that comes from a
Yeah,
cactus.
like the fruit of a cactus.
Yeah, Steve doesn't know a lot
But
about
I feel like they still only bloom certain times of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
avocados are only available certain times of the year now, too, at this point. So,
Yeah.
no, it's a joke. It's a bad one.
Shut up, Korey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna use the fresh fruit. We'll probably get a puree product or whatever. But what else?
I've always wanted to do an oyster stout. Not the Rocky Mountain oyster, although that'd be
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
too. I don't want to steal Wine Coop's thunder, but
See, my problem with oysters is just the texture, so I would
yeah.
probably be hitting
That's why you
that.
put it into a beer.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harpoon made an oyster stout way back when. I don't know if you ever had that when you were back in the
Yeah,
Northeast,
yeah,
but
it's
that was
good.
pretty killer.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good beer. I think what's weird is kind of going out and having drinks with Jordan. Jordan is very much into cocktails and kind of the mixology of all the stuff behind it. So he'll sit around and he'll we want to do a Moscow Mule style sour, or he'll do, come up with a prickly pear, adjunct. I've never been a super creative guy. As a sales guy, I'm numbers and try to get stuff out.
To be fair, neither is Korey, so we totally get it.
Thanks,
So,
Steve.
it's nice to have Jordan. I don't have any wish lists. I think Jordan will be like this morning. He's like, we should brew a beer with prickly pear. And I was like, that's a genius idea. We absolutely should. So I kind of rely on Jordan's guidance on that. I mean, we went to get cocktails one time. It's some super fancy cocktail bar, and I get a glass of Old Grandad, and he's like, we're at this awesome cocktail bar, and you're not getting a well-made drink. Just like bourbon, man. So
I like my steaks well done and with ketchup also.
I lived in Pittsburgh for about 4 years.
Take a Jack and Coke.
Anything less than Heinz is not good for me.
Yeah.
No, so I don't know. It's cool listening to you talk about, seeing how your mind works and when it comes to
Oh, thanks, man.
beer development.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
Cool.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and doing this podcast. We're excited to have you guys. This was real fun. Korey, you got anything to say?
No,
Shut up, Korey. No,
Oh,
just
you son of a
kidding.
bitch, Steve. Got him. No,
last
the only
chat.
thing I would say is just if you guys got anything you'd like to say about the brewery or the tap room that you want people to know, when they listen to this episode, to come down and check you guys out. Is there anything in particular you'd just like to point out?
We have extra,
napkins.
Not a sports
yeah.
bar.
Napkins about.
Napkins.
We have
Not a
extra.
sport.
We have extra napkins. We have sports ball on TV,
It's very cold,
and it's very cold here.
even in summer.
Even in summer. So.
I think Valentine's Day we're gonna do a sour beer event here in the
Yeah,
tap room.
sour
Okay,
beer. We're
cool.
going to be
So,
doing another Baptist event as well.
When's
Yeah.
that one?
Right around Valentine's Day too. It's
Oh,
going to be a
right.
whole
whole
rare
weekend.
and new release
Okay,
weekend
cool.
around Valentine's Day.
Well, we'll be putting this episode out before then.
Yeah,
So
well, that's what I was
perfect.
going to ask. As long
Yeah.
as it's done before
Yeah.
that, but yeah, we're working with the chocolatier down the street, Temper Chocolate, and they always do some really cool chocolates with the beers we make, and gonna have a flower truck out front. Last minute.
That's awesome. That's so sweet.
Stop. Yeah, it's
Sweet to match the
It's-
sour.
It's a sports bar and it's romantic. I don't like that. I'm done.
Cool. Man. Well,
Thanks, guys.
thanks a lot for thanks a lot for being on, and cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. I don't know. I mean, I do a lot. I mountain bike a lot. I'd like to collaborate with a bike company. I ride an Ibis mountain bike. It'd be cool to like do something with those guys, just because that way it gives me an excuse to go out and kind of expense going riding.
Sure.